People who worked at fraudulent companies like Enron and Theranos. What was your experience? I worked for a shady telemarketing company before. We handled products for several companies, but our main job was to trick people into not canceling or returning items. This was accomplished by offering them an additional 30 days or so to try it out for free, with the goal being eventually they would forget about it or their free trial period would run out on them. I finally quit when we started a new bullshit prescription program targeted at the elderly. We were supposed to convince elderly people to cancel Medicare and pay us $100 per month for our prescription program. Our prescription program was basically the exact same as the one you can get for free at CVS. My boss worked at Arthur Andersen and was an audit partner there during 2001-02. In my talks with him, he had said the funny thing about companies that are caught for committing fraud is there has to be some sort of backbone of legitimate activity behind it for it to work, be less traceable. In his time there, he performed audits just the way he was educated to, and went on his business. It's not like the entire company is corrupt and evil and there are certain people at the top that keep the good eggs out of their plans. Obviously he wasn't convicted of any wrongdoing when the company collapsed and he transferred to another public accounting firm as a partner soon thereafter. A friend of mine worked for the income store. It sounded like a great place to work for a while. They were growing and adding people in space. Then the pressure from the top to perform got out of control. Everyone got progressively more frantic and erratic. Then it came out that the owner was running a Ponzi scheme. He could no longer pay the first investors their guaranteed 20% with new investor money and it all came down. What ingredient makes any food taste better? Not every food, I guess, because it wouldn't be good on pancakes, but black garlic makes things delicious. Any dish that has dairy in it always add just a wee pinch of nutmeg. It just does something to the milk and it makes it taste richer and better. Confidence. Or ordinary water. Laced with nothing more than a few spoonfuls of LSD. I don't know which. I feel like it's ginger garlic paste. It goes with every Indian dish. Also some of the other nationality dishes. Miso paste, I put it in most soups and stews. Even if I'm not making an Asian recipe. Fantastic in chicken noodle soup and even marinara. Adds tons umami, without needing to simmer for hours. It's great to add if anything you taste feels thin and quat. Soul seasoning. Ike what's in it, but it's awesome. And best part is that I can buy it cheap at the dollar store. Vinegar. If the dish tastes like it's missing something and salt doesn't help, add a splash of vinegar. Based on Julia Child. Butter. In reality, if your dish is missing something, it's usually one of the big four: sugar, fat, acid, or heat. There's a reason why salt, fat, acid, heat is a popular cookbook. Get those four right, of even some of the four, and it'll elevate your cooking. By food I'm going to presume you don't mean anything sweet. In that case MSG. And the myths about its supposed unhealthiness need to be squashed. Paprika. It's probably placebo, as it's just crushed dried bell peppers. But I swear it just adds a different flavor profile that isn't there otherwise. Salt. You even put it in sweets like a cake or something. Also, you can add it directly to fruits and vegetables if you want. Why is LGBT representation in TV/film considered woke to some individuals? There's a difference between bad representation and what gets cried about being woke and quat. Bad representation is a subjective thing. When media includes token characters in a way that feels disingenuous or disrespectful. Woke is what conservatives scream when any media acknowledges socially progressive causes. It doesn't matter if the representation is good or not. They're just mad the representation exists at all and will immediately jump to their favorite buzzword. Gay characters? The woke media is attacking marriage ! And quat. Trans characters? The woke media is pushing gender ideology. And quat. Female characters with agency? The woke media is pushing radical feminism through M''s! And quat. There are two ideas of why people think this. 1. For so long, there was little to no representation of any kind in TV/film that the addition of it now feels so radically different that people don't know how to handle it. 2. Writers use LGBT characters as marketing devices in order to drive viewership. Velma is a good example of this. God-awful show, but they tried to use the fact that Velma was bisexual in order to give viewers a cheap reason to care. To be clear, whether or not she is in the story is not the point, but rather the way it was marketed and presented. As with most things, the real answer most likely lies somewhere in between. Because 9/10 it's heavily marketed and stereotypical. Look at Lightyear. Extreme media attention on a lesbian couple, who is only mentioned apart from about 3 seconds of her wife being on screen. Or Strange World, whose entire marketing was look we have a gay black teenager as the main character ! And oppos. Is it worth it learning how to cook as a man under 18? Yes. A big part is prep. Getting all of your ingredients ready and in the right portions. Followed by getting your clean pan hot/stove preheated. Then cooking for the right amount of time while you spice before, during or after. Always remember you can add more spices. So don't be afraid to underspice. Also, salt and butter make everything taste better. Make sure to use enough. I recommend starting with a recipe you feel comfortable and inspired to make. Make it a few times and get comfortable with the ingredients. This will allow you to branch out into different recipes that you want to make in the future. Yes. Everyone should know how to make at least 5 different dishes. Even if one is just eggs, bacon and toast. It's good for one of those 5 to be a dessert type thing. So many senior men that lose their wives wind up not being able to take care of themselves BC they never learned to cook. The opposite of that now is that many young women can't cook now either. Like half the women I've met can't cook a potato. Cooking is an important skill that everyone should know the basics of. It's as important as knowing how to read. For sure. You don't want to be reliant on other people when you're an adult. And you never know what will happen. If I had just relied on my wife to do all the cooking, we would have been screwed when she became disabled. My best advice is to focus on learning the basic elements of cooking and less on memorizing recipes. There is nothing wrong with having a few go-to recipes in your back pocket. But if you understand how to cook, you can make anything. Also, if you plan on going to college, start learning dorm cooking now. There are a ton of guides online.